laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Midnight Edge in the Morning on this lovely Wednesday. We have reached the middle of the week. We have a new episode of Ahsoka. We have a new issue of Conan the Barbarian, and not much else to talk about. But there's always something. I mean, it's Disney. It's another week. So, of course, there's another lawsuit. And with us to discuss all the Disney matters is Jonas J. Campbell of that Park Place fame. How's it going?
Oh, it's going fantastic. I always love getting that StreamYard link to come on in here. I hope everybody's doing well today.
Well, judging from Culture Casino, we are doing excellent.
Indeed, yeah, we are. Well, I'm doing great. I've had the funniest morning ever. I woke up to a beautiful clip that we'll probably show later. That really tickled my funny bone during my 6-minute daily. So that was fun. So I'm excited. I'm excited for you guys to talk about something that I have been avoiding. So I can't wait.
Good stuff. Something that has someone that has not been avoiding Ahsoka in this case is Mr. Paul Chato. How's it going?
I've not. It's just I just want to say I do not like landing on Park Place when it's filled with hotels because you just it kills you.
You know, the real money is made on Tennessee Avenue. If you can get people, especially in the late
no, the purple ones. You just load up on the purple ones around just as you turn. That's the winners. That's how you win the game.
You get them right when they're getting out of jail, because they got to roll doubles right there to get. So the other end of the board from Park Place, that's where you can really screw people in the late game.
So the fact that you're called Park Place means you're evil and I hate you.
Isn't it like 1550 loaded with hotels on Park Place, and then what is Boardwalk's like? Isn't that steeper, like 1850 or something?
You know, this is going to sound awful when I say it, but I think they've actually factored in inflation into the game, so it's probably even higher now.
Oh boy!
Speaking of even higher up north in Canada, we also have Script Doctor joining us. How's it going?
It's going well. Been a busy morning for me, so I'm eager to have a fun hangout with you, gentlemen.
Yeah,
today.
I've been going after clients who haven't paid us. So,
ooh,
yeah, that's always fun. You know what? In my former employer, we had a department that was called the Bat Department. Not bat as in Batman, but bat as in the baseball bat. That me and my colleague who did cage fighting for fun used when we went and knocked on clients' doors who hadn't paid up. So, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Well, when you're an entrepreneur, it's one of the things that you got to learn to do, and you got to suck it up and do it and not be embarrassed doing it. Because your livelihood depends on it. Toughens you up, you know.
Yeah. Especially these days when with inflation and people having less money, you really have to work harder to make sure that you get yours.
I have a baseball bat actually not far from me right now. I could probably help some people out with that.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't have a baseball bat. Never really played the game.
Yeah. No, that baseball is not for playing. That baseball bat is not for playing baseball. To tell you what. So, yeah,
I got lighting gear.
Yeah. Tom is unfortunately otherwise occupied today, but that's okay because we have so many other joining us in the chat here today. We have Mr. Tickletrunk is here, also helping us share this on Twitter. Much appreciated. We have ActionCom is here. Always glad to see you, my friend. We have RamBam3000 here, who also is all into baseballs this morning and other batting instruments, saying, wallop that like button, indeed, with hammer or whatever other blunt instrument you may have at your disposal. We have Will Bloom is in the house. Josh Hammond is here. Ex-Metron is here. And yeah, he's in the spirit of things, saying, show me the money. That's exactly right. And we have Unlimited Power, who loves Tom's singing. Actually, not half bad. Yeah, no, Tom is actually a really, really good musician. Check out his work over on Midnight's Edge After Dark. We have Mighty Orbots is here. Ski Bots is here. The Wolfram Heart 79 is here. Rafael Lopez is here. Just Another Red Shirt is here. Zavin is here. Skibo is here. German Nightmare 1976 is also here. V-Gits. So yeah, fantastic. All good. We have many others, of course, but I cannot greet every 600 people watching. But I will ask every one of you to please smash that like, help share this stream, and let everyone know that we are live. Because we have, it's going to be a condensed show today, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. So let's just dive right into the big news of today. After a couple of these super stickers, we got super stickers from Dr. Long Dongler, who sent us £99 super sticker, and Big Daddy MRI sent us a 99-cent super sticker, and then he made up for that with sending another $3.99 super sticker. And ActionCom, speaking of bats, says, I hope it wasn't a Jose Canseco bat, and that you paid.
Sale. You understand that one? Do you understand that reference?
I imagine it's probably some kind of baseball player or something like that. I can assure you that the baseball bats we have in Norway are not Jose Canseco. It's something we made in like.
No, he was. They were found to be juiced.
A little bit.
Oh.
And it's also a quote from a Ninja Turtles film.
There it is. There it is. It was on the tip of my tongue. I'm like, why does that sound so familiar? Yeah, Jose Canseco Bat. Ralph with that Brooklyn accent, right?
Yep. Yeah, there you go. And then getting us into the first topic here, Marksman of 11.7b says for $1.99, bring Thrawn in. It's like when JJ brought back Khan.
Oh my.
And yeah, we have a new episode of Ahsoka to talk about, and from what I understand, it was a thrilling, riveting masterpiece. In fact, I believe that Cultured Casino, you have a clip here from our good friend Lorena Creole.
I do.
Why don't you bring that up? Because that kind of epitomizes the sheer thrills and joy and excitement that is Ahsoka here.
It's in the share. It's ready to go. And this is just a clip. This is an 18-second clip, and I died laughing when I played it during the 6-minute daily. So here we go.
We're gonna find out. I can't drive through. How stupid is he?
What? Oh my. Why does gravity work towards the ship and then suddenly gravity doesn't work towards the ship? That's what I don't know.
That's the will of the force. The force evidently it does not bend to the will of gravity.
Is there a close? Oh wait, okay. Now, is there a close up of Ahsoka anywhere in this clip? Because the outfit is kind of a fleecy pajamas over top of her tentacle head.
Let me find. I'll find my tweet.
It's hilarious.
I've got a good.
Oh my god, it's fleecy. It's the worst.
It's pajamas. She's got pajama spacesuit.
It's pajama spacesuit.
Is this a PlayStation 3 cutscene, or is this actually from the series?
This is from the series. This is a live watch party. Lorena is watching this live. So look, she stands here on the outside of this ship, like fending off. Like it would seem like the ship would be a more effective tool against these things, but no.
Here, I've shared at least a back view of which is arguably one of the better views. But you know.
I'm gonna bring up the computer. I'm just gonna finish this here. That's glorious.
I can't see the shot yet. Oh my god!
Here we go.
Oh no!
and the outfit even has little sacks and things like that contain her head piece. It's hilarious. And the thing is, she got into it in seconds.
It begs so many questions right now that I should not be thinking about. Obviously, the tweet here is like, okay, what are these things? Are they fleshy? Do they have bones in them? Who makes spacesuits in the Star Wars universe? Why is there not just a massive bubble on the top of her head?
But then it would have been really huge.
Yeah. How does the Force work when there's no gravity? And there's nothing to push against? And also, of course, the fact that you have these massive blaster bolts that are ship-sized blaster bolts, and she's going after them with teeny tiny lightsabers. I don't know. It's just the whole thing. The problem is my brain got engaged, which is not what you want to do in Star Wars.
I don't.
Basically, your brain got engaged trying to pick it apart.
Affected by gravity.
When it comes to like the Force powers, like we now live in a Star Wars universe or inhabit a world that has a Star universe where Force teleportation is a thing. I mean, I'm out at that point. So yeah.
I mean, it would have been more inventive if she was using the Force to pull herself towards the ship, and we actually saw an action of doing that, because it's like it's a void in space, right? So you can only interact with objects. So if you're hurling through space, and there's maybe like say an asteroid field, if you wanted to slow down, you'd be, as a Jedi, you would force pull an asteroid, and that would slow you down, because that would be, mass and conservation of energy and all that type of stuff. You could have fun with that. And here it's like, nope, she's just hopping from wing to wing, and she's actually falling back towards the ship. That doesn't work in a low gravity environment like space, when there's nothing for her to be pulling her in any direction.
Right. Unless you saw her turn around and go
and reach. Yeah.
That would actually make sense.
And
exactly.
Then that would vaguely make sense that she's pulling herself back to the ship. But right now she's doing Olympic gymnastic flippity-doos.
You know what would be fantastic if the ship moved instead of her, in fact, pulling the ship to her as opposed to the other way around. It's like the doors on the Starship Enterprise, that even if you get close to them, if you're not facing them, they don't open. But when you intend to leave, all of a sudden they open behind you.
Mm-hmm.
So
fun stuff. But rather than just dissecting this one scene, which delivered thrills and excitement aplenty. I mean, that's like $200 million well spent right there. But Mr. Chato, you saw this entire episode, and you've seen the two previous episodes.
Yes.
Can you, for the benefit of everyone watching, just bring everyone up to speed? First, what happened in the first two episodes, very briefly, and then what happened, even briefer maybe, what happened in this episode?
Well, the first two episodes were really about establishing the search for Thrawn. It had a Indiana Jones piece in it. It was just a bunch of little set pieces introducing the individual characters for no real specific reason that I could really think of. It felt really like a video game episodes where they were all dealing with the plot, but there was really not much in the way of interesting storylines for each of the characters. So yeah, all the first two shows did was the bad guys released one of their own from a that's not the rebels anymore. What are they now? The
Republic?
Are you talking about how
the Republic, the New Republic,
how Ray Stevenson unleashed the
so Ray Stevenson and his poodle managed to recapture one of their leaders. I don't know, some tiny woman in a very baggy outfit. Apparently she's important. And then they go off to make this giant ring thing that is going to be able to jump space even farther than just having the jump space inside your vessel. And of course, it still isn't finished in the finest tradition of Death Stars. We have to wait for it to be completed. And that's it. I mean, that's really about it. So Thrawn apparently is alive. They found a map that shows where he is. And there's these bad guys making a big ring. So that's the first 2 episodes. And in this particular episode, essentially was all about the good guys finding the ring. That's all that happened. It was a 34-minute episode. It's about 20 minutes if you took out the intros and the recap, the recap and all that stuff. It's a really tiny episode. And I mean, essentially what happens here is that you've got some pseudo Jedi training between Ren and Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, yeah.
But terribly done. Just absolutely embarrassingly, abysmally done. It was worse than watching the fake Star Trek stuff that people have done in the past. It's just
Discovery.
If I can ask you, did you get the very subtle hint at what movie they were referencing with the blast shield going down in front of her eyes? Could you remember what film they were trying to remind everyone? It was almost as if they were saying something like, I can't see anything with the blast shield down. What was that movie?
Oh, you mean Star Wars?
Oh, that's it. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so they were repeating, instead of using the floating balls that they had in A New Hope, where Luke Skywalker was getting zapped by these little robot flying thingies while he was, showing and his skills gaining his skills as a Jedi. This was just the worst. Someone sent me a video of, and I don't know what it was from, but it had a blind Oriental guy teaching a sighted guy, basically exactly the same scene. But the difference was that the blind guy told the sighted guy to put on, some scarf, blindfold to hide his eyes, so he couldn't see. And he says, "Well, I don't know how I'm going to be able to fight you like this." And the blind sensei came after him and cut him in the arm, which got the guy to freak out. And then he got good for a very short period of time. It was extremely well done. Like, there was consequence, not just being hit with a wooden stick. As in, so after that scene, I guess we ended up in their stupid spinny spacecraft, which I never understand why the shell of the ship has to spin. And then they go off in search of them and the David Tennant robot go off in search of this giant jump ring. And that was it. And then there's a fight in space with the poodle girl and with the Chihuahua girl. And it's like the worst, dumbest, thinnest. And the comment I made it on Twitter was, you remember on Friday when I said, where's the promotion and where's the trailer? Didn't I say that, Andre?
Yep.
You did say something to that.
Yeah, I said the first 2 shows were abysmal. Why aren't they now packing it in, getting us excited about the 3rd show? It's because a trailer is actually longer than this 3rd episode.
As I predicted last week, the trailer would spoil what happened in this episode.
It would be in its entirety. Like this was. I can't believe how much worse this was than the first 2. And the thing that came to my mind, the only thing that came to mind, that this was management sitting over top of the editor saying, wow, with all this stuff that you shot, this is what you gave us. This is all that we have to work with. Okay, we're cutting it right down to the bone because we got nothing. That's what it felt like. It felt like management directing editors to just please give us something, anything.
I feel like you're absolutely correct. And that scene, especially that training scene, going back to Star Wars, there's stakes there on some level because Luke gets hurt by the training droid. It's at least establishing that yes, there is something here. And do you think? Just think how much better that scene would have been had Ahsoka just really whacked her really hard every time she did it instead of a little tap on the shoulder. That would have made it more fun, a lot more fun. And not because it's sadistic, but because it would show, one, that Ahsoka's got a little edge to her and she's not, Quaalude Gandalf. And it would give you a reason for Sabine to be angry. I just want somebody to emote on some level in this show.
No, I thought she should have hurt her. And I don't mean to say that in a nasty way.
But no, just send a signal that consequences are real when it comes to this type of thing. And you're lucky that I'm only doing this to you because the actual reality of it is you're dead.
Fantastic stuff. I was curious, does Snark count as emoting? Do we have much of that?
Snarking?
Yeah, well, basically just being the snarky.
No, there wasn't any girl boss snarkiness in this. There was a scene with the girl with the general with the orange pants that don't quite fit her properly.
That is her official name from this moment onwards. No one needs to know what she's called. She's the general girl boss with orange pants.
And I know what I cannot stop looking at the creases that just keep piling up around her crotch. They just bunch up around her.
Like she's wearing a diaper.
Yeah, that's a terribly sewed pair of pants. Anyways, she's at the council telling them that they need resources to go after this ring thing that they found in space, and the council says no, we're not. And there's some snotty back and forth between the holographic council members of various ethnic origins, and only one spacey person. And the thing is, the alien that had this spacey, plasticky, foamy head didn't say a single thing. That is racism.
In its truest of forms.
The whole thing felt like exactly what a live action version of an episode of Rebels would be. And I don't know terrible. Right. That what I'm trying to say here is I don't know what the cost on shooting an episode of Rebels is in the return for Disney Plus on an episode of Rebels if they just did it animated, but I can't imagine they're getting the cost benefit here of $200 million, $25 million an episode.
Are you serious?
200 million. I mean, that's generally what these things cost. Andor, I think, cost 250.
When I said $200 million well spent, I wasn't joking.
So for this 34 minutes, do you feel like that was, close to $1 million a minute of actual production?
Money well spent, right?
No, not even close, unless they're backloading it to more significant episodes. They did that with Mandalorian. You could see, oh, okay, that's the one they spent money on. Oh, that's the one they didn't. Yeah, I mean, you can tell.
Yeah, the water effects of the Razor Crest being taken out of the water by the crane. I can see some poor animators slaving over this scene right here, and how much money just would have had to have been spent on the water simulations for that one.
And how good a shield do they have against blasters in that stupid ship? It seemed to have taken an awful lot of hits without much in the way of damage.
It would have made a lot more sense if it was TIE fighters instead of these beefy Jedi or Sith or whatever they are. They seem to be next level fighters here. If it were TIE fighters that are supposed to be like disposable, okay, maybe. I don't know.
And they do an awful lot of missing. They're just missing constantly their shots.
Speaking of missing, we've been missing what you guys watching think about this, and we have a couple of super chats to go through on that before we move on to the next topic, because we have more things to talk about other than the sheer thrills and excitement of episode 3 of Ahsoka. we have also who says for $4.99, everyone knows that gravity only works during plot armor points in space. So, yeah, Lagrange points go get bent. It's plot armor points that matter. The movies dropped bombs out of base in zero gravity. Yeah, that is impressive. That is an impressive feat.
We're seeing a lot more similarities between Filoni and Rian Johnson, and it's not just their creepy smile.
Yeah,
he has a creepy smile.
I don't know which one. I haven't seen Johnson's creepy smile, but I've definitely seen Filoni's.
Speaking of that, the Seaman has been a member for 7 months and sends a member chat saying Lucasfilm totally left George's direction faster and more intense behind, haven't they? Well, yeah, certainly they did for this. And the DCV Titan has some more comments about the Force, saying she just used Force Mary Poppins like Leia in The Last Jedi. And then, of course, the contrarian, Dash Attack says for $4.99, unpopular opinion. I loved the spacesuit scene. I find it more fun and acceptable than Sabine surviving a lightsaber stab to the artery. Well, I would say it's more than just a lightsaber stab. I mean, those lightsabers, they run pretty hot, don't they? So it's really more a matter of like having your innards boiled in addition to being stabbed.
Well, there's a lot of confusion with that based on the original trilogy and even the prequels. We don't know how lightsabers truly function because the first limb we see cut off, there's blood coming from the discarded arm. The second limb, it's cauterized. The third one just cuts through Vader. And in Qui-Gon Jinn, when he stabs the thing, it melts, which is weird. But then Hayden Christensen's arm's chopped off, and there's no blood, and it's all over the place. Like we don't know. There's no consistency in the original Star Wars.
They also stick them through metal doors and cut them open.
Yep,
and they appear to melt.
That appears. Well, I mean,
it appears to melt, but at the same time, it's like, again, I'll put it this way: Lucas had no real understanding of the physics of the lightsaber when he invented it. At first, he was figuring it up as it went along.
Well, what if kyber crystals degrade over time? And therefore, they got less hot as they got to the original trilogy. See, I'm over here trying to fanboy it.
Jones, well, here's the other part too. If they run for them,
right.
If
this
they
is the
run
problem.
Really hot, they'd give off a lot of heat and vaporize your hands.
Somebody told me, turn off your brain and have fun. I frankly, I didn't respond to them, but it's not my job to be the one to make it fun. It's their job to make it fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Cosmic Castaway says for $5. Lucasfilm was so confident in Filoni's move to live action that they shut down their animation studio. Now he's up the creek without a canoe. Now I know that they shut down like this thing in Korea or something.
Singapore.
Yeah, an ILM office was closed up in Singapore. The animation department at Lucasfilm is still active, and they are making currently a couple of cartoons. I mean, they're being rendered right now as we speak. I believe they've been voiced before the actors' strike, so they haven't gotten rid of their Star Wars animation at all. I don't know where you're getting that information.
Season 2
I think it's just that it was widely reported that Lucasfilm was like losing one animation division, and depending on where you read the news, one can easily mistake that. So I would imagine that's where that comes from. But the animation itself hasn't gone anywhere. Just one. Studio.
Well, ILM Singapore was closed up, and the ones that were not local to Singapore were relocated to either Vancouver or San Francisco offices. So that's currently what's happening. I think those
more Lucas animation.
You know, I think right now animation is probably the most lucrative aspect of the story-driven part of Lucasfilm. I bet ILM probably still makes money. If they can't make money in an industry that is known for you spending too much on special effects, then ILM needs to change their business model.
ILM does special effects for an awful lot of the other studios.
Yes.
Too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I find it hilarious that Skywalker Sound did the audio for Super Mario Brothers. Not that that's rare. It's just funny.
It's the best in the business.
Well, at least that way they got some of that sweet Super Mario cash for themselves. But before we leave this topic behind and move on, Snell's World says for $2, no power and could have blown it up from a distance, while Pilgrim Media says acrobatics in 0 Gs. Great writing, not.
Yep.
There you go. And then let's take a break in the super chats. We do have more super chats. We have them all behind the scenes here. We are going to go to them, but we'll try to do them on topic. So those that we haven't gotten to yet, we'll get to them shortly. But before we do that, we have more news to talk about, because today is, it's a new week since last week, and that not only means a new episode of Ahsoka, it also means, since we are talking about Disney and we have George Campbell here, we have another Disney lawsuit. And this was reported in a number of trades, among others, Deadline, who writes, Disney, Bob Iger, Bob Chapek hit with another investor suit over fraudulent streaming costs. Now, Jonas, I'm sure you must have covered this. Please take us through the story.
I personally have not covered it, but Valiant has covered it, and Pro, if he hasn't already recorded a video, I'm sure he's recorded at least 6 different videos that he'll be releasing on his channel just on this one story. Ha ha ha, making fun of my boss while he's not here. If I'm understanding this correctly, they're just going through all of the statements that Disney has made, specifically about that DMED reorganization, and I'll explain that more in a second for those in our audience who don't know what that means. They've actually been paying attention to the statements by the company on how they're reorganizing, especially the de-reorganizing that they did once Bob Iger came in. Some were reading this organization, DMED. I think it's like Digital Media Entertainment Distribution. It became
This is because here's some context is needed, because this is one of the things that Bob Chapek did, because this is something that we have covered very, very extensively. This is when Bob Chapek really got on Hollywood's shit list, because he correctly identified the problem in Disney as the creatives in Disney are no longer the secret sauce behind the success. They have all become crazy activists, and they are the secret sauce behind the downfall, because the only thing they want to do is create various activist entertainment. So what he did was that he took power away from them, and he started this brand new distribution division, and it was this division that then had the power to decide which projects get greenlit in the first place, and which of those go to streaming, which get a theatrical release, and which don't get made at all. All of these decisions were done by the heads of each individual division, and that changed under Chapek. And then Bob Iger came in, and he changed that back again. And then he really bragged about, we have now given the power back to the creatives, as if Disney's creatives at this point in time were anything to brag about, as if Disney's creatives at this point in time were anything other than a liability. That is what Bob Chapek recognized. But of course, that's coming back to haunt them now. I just wanted to clarify.
No, that's perfect. That's where I was trying to go, but you said it better than I was going to say it. Yeah. So obviously Chapek got fired in the middle of a weekend evening before he was about to go on a Elton John concert. The first firing that Bob Iger did himself was Kareem Daniels, who was in charge of the DMED division. It was something like a 6 a.m. call. And I'm still not sure if it was Bob Iger himself that made the call, but
of course it was
reported in the trades that it was very early. And of course, Kareem Daniels, one of the most powerful black executives in Hollywood at the time, and it seems like Hollywood didn't care for that particular aspect of him when they fired him. They didn't seem to care. They didn't seem to cry wolf over the firing of this powerful executive that was getting in the way of the message. If anyone believes that Bob Chapek was trying to de-wokeify Disney, which I personally do believe that he was trying to at least get them back to more marketable properties, this would have been the end of it, the end of DMED. the process that he was going through here was in the early stages, and I'll agree with the shareholders here. It was not yet tested, and they were not yet profitable. I think there was a lot that had to be worked out before it became profitable, and we will never know if it was actually going to work. The only property that Bob Chapek greenlit that is going to see the light of day that he can take full credit for is, of course, Deadpool 3. And I'll say maybe Daredevil Born Again might be on that list as well. But sounds like Deadpool 3 is at risk. Not at risk as in not coming out, but at risk for quality. And it doesn't sound too promising for Daredevil Born Again. It remains to be seen. I don't want to be a black pill or whatever they call us these days.
The only advantage those two properties have compared to all the other previous Marvel properties is that Victoria Alonso isn't there as the post-production supervisor to order reshoots and rewrites of the content.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it has a potential chance to be decent at the best, essentially.
Yep.
But ignoring the content for the moment, we'll get back to that in due course. But this lawsuit then, because now we have set up the background here. So Jonas, why are investors freaking out now?
Because the stock price is in the toilet. It is now risen to, let's see, if I can ignore my stand warning here on the Apple Watch, 84.28. It is up to below 85.
Oh, great success.
Yes. Great.
Oh, no, sorry. I meant hashtag dang it, Bob.
Exactly. Hello to Mexican Iron Man if you're out there. The stock price is in the toilet, and I don't think it's hit the lowest it's going to hit. That is not financial advice. The company is in dire straits. They have this massive Hulu expenditure that they're going to have to make, probably in the $20 billion range, and they only have about $2 billion in cash on hand. Interest rates are horrible, so if they want to finance that with debt, which most likely outcome, they are going to have to pay quite a hefty sum in order to service that debt until Hulu is profitable enough for them. There's the text from Mike. Hey, Mike. And the other aspect is equity or assets. Equity, if they hand over equity at the $23 billion range, that represents about 15% of the entire Walt Disney Company right now, being handed over to, just in bold print, Comcast, owner of NBC Universal, owner of Epic Universe, Universal Studios Florida, and Islands of Adventure, and soon to be a Europe theme park. So they would be handing over $23 billion of value over to their largest competitor in order to fund projects that will directly compete with them and probably, especially while the parks are weak, just drive them further down into the hole. I don't want to paint too dark of a picture. They're probably not going to go bankrupt, but these investors, they do have a legitimate claim here.
Yeah, there's nothing that says conflict of interest more than funding your competitor.
Right.
Yeah. Culture. Anything you want to add to this? You're muted.
It doesn't surprise me. I didn't realize I was muted. It doesn't surprise me that this came about. We'd speculated on this going back several months that this was something that was happening in the background. I think some very sharp minds were talking about this months ago. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, this is just the beginning. I mean, it's one of many of just the beginnings for Disney's. And yeah, we can talk about the fact that Disney is really, behind the eight ball when it comes to, the position they're in with Hulu and everything else. But they have some existential threats potentially that actually exist in the wings. This is just one of them. You have, some very, very steep legal penalties that could be paid by individuals at Disney and the broader company as well when it comes to some of the other double dealing, self-dealing, whatever you want to call it, that they've been not only accused of, but obviously there seems to be substantial evidence of. So I'm looking at all of this saying this is going to get far worse. And how many investor suits is this now? Is this 4? Is this 5?
Last my count was 3, but they pop up so often. I think this is going to get settled.
I'm sure the last thing they can afford here is discovery. And again, this the minute they settle it, it opens the door for somebody else to come in and make the same claim.
Well, that's only if the plaintiffs accept the settlement, right? That's the other part too. If they want to push it further, that's their prerogative.
Well, look, I mean, I know there's a lot of allegations here, but I'm one of the people that believe that there's been criminal wrongdoing in a lot of different ways within this company. And I think it's only been coming to light because of, moves by, several different parties to actually get Disney to return to, the things that made them great, return to their mission statement, return to their core.
Well, culture, they're only criminal because they got caught. Let's be completely honest about that. All companies have
do tell, Paul. How many criminal acts have you taken during the course of your long?
As many as I could. That's why I became a multi-millionaire. No. I mean, people are on the fence. Companies are on the fence with all sorts of things, right? And often they leave it to the judiciary to decide whether it was criminal or not.
Okay, and again, I mean, you can certainly walk in the gray area, which I understand. I mean, that's what you're alluding to or suggesting. But I look at it quite differently. I'm like, if you're going to do that, you have to make sure you stay firmly in that gray. Because go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please finish your sentence.
No, it's fine.
If you're referring to Reedy Creek, I think that is a next level situation where you have a government and allegedly, I'm going to use the word allegedly a bunch because we're about to get in some very spicy territory on the WDW Pro channel as far as this goes. Allegedly, if they were treating government employees as if they were corporate employees or vice versa, then that creates a situation that has to be answered. And right now, it seems like the state of Florida is going after them. I know it's something that's confusing to some of our audience that is more like they're more interested in the new theming area for the Haunted Mansion out in Disneyland, and they want that to be really neato. But when we start talking about corporate malfeasance and the line between government and corporation being crossed, I think they've got a big problem on their hands that might be more unique to them than some other corporations that we talk about.
Well, and you have the state of Florida sniffing around for unpleasant aromas in lots of places. I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure that this is a path that Disney should have taken. I'm not sure that Iger was smart to double down on so much of this. So we'll see. But like I said, there are broader issues than even this. And I want to find out what the documents and records case comes up with here. We should know the results of that pretty soon. So that gives the investors even more bite at this apple. So we'll see.
Yeah, I will also, even though I sound like I disagree with Paul, I'm going to agree with him as well. One of the pictures that came up was a Reedy Creek, which is a government official wearing a Disney cast member badge at a recent meeting, which is this is part of their Disney legend, their narrative about the company, the Reedy Creek situation where they secretly went in and created this district. It's just that they didn't dot their I's and cross their T's, and they didn't anticipate that there would ever be a hostile environment in the state of Florida from a government standpoint. And they crossed a line. And now, to end the phrase that I'm not going to say, they found out. So
yes,
yeah, this is true.
They fooled around and found out.
Yeah, we don't have any super chats on this particular topic, but we did have a comment that I wanted to address. There seems to be some misconceptions based on the previous Disney earnings call. Luffy Scott says Disney has $11 billion available and they owe $9 billion for Hulu. Stop lying.
Yeah, I'd like to add some clarity to that. They have 11.
Please do.
They have $11 billion. The floor on the Hulu deal is $9.27 billion from Disney to Comcast. There was a leak recently. So I'll address the $11 billion first. Yeah, when you subtract out current assets and current liabilities, you only have $2 billion remaining. So most of those $11 billion are spoken for already by things that are due currently, whether that's payroll, whether that's debts. Those are things that are due, I want to say, within the next 90 days.
Plus Disney owes me a refund on the Polynesian stay we had. I'm just saying that's factored in also.
Absolutely. And
exactly. If I can just add some clarity to that, like if Disney were an individual, what he was referring to in the earnings call when he said we have $11 billion available. If he were a person, he was like, I just got paid, so I now have $3,000 in my checking account. So I have $3,000. All is good. What he doesn't say is that of those $3,000. 2,500 are already spoken for because he has to pay rent, utilities, food, he has to pay his maid, all those kind of stuff. That's like the thing of those $11 billion. Disney's employees want to get paid in the next 6 months.
Yep, and they
have contractors that they need to pay and everything. So of those 11 billion, 9 billion are already spoken for. So the answer that was given by the CFO in the earnings call was, in a sense, disingenuous. They don't have 11. They have $11 available. They don't have $11 billion cash free on hand to spend, which is why he then started bringing up their credit lines and everything like that they have to pull from as well, because those $11 billion, they're not going to cut it. And then we get to the 9 billion. As you said there, that was the absolute floor. The Disney CFO said so as well, meaning that's the absolute minimum they have to pay. So in a perfect set of circumstances, it's going to be 9.4 billion, I believe it was. That doesn't mean they can plan on it, does it, Jonas?
Well, and to go back to the first thing you said there, when he started bringing up funding sources, a lot of the things they brought up, when you start tallying all the different ways they were coming up with that they could provide this funding, it starts to add up to a figure that is obviously more than the 10 to 11 billion. To say we have 11 billion, to try to give that impression that they've got more than enough to pay for it, but then to keep going and say, and we could pay for it this way, and we could pay for it this way, lends to the impression that they are being very creative in how they're going to fund this. Now, that being said, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal that was a leak of the Comcast and Disney arbitration talks. Comcast currently values the $9 billion valuation is 1/3 of $27 billion, which was the agreed valuation of Hulu at the time of the agreement for the put call, and that wasn't going to be paid until January of this coming year, January 2024. The Wall Street Journal article says that Comcast, no, we value this at $70 billion now. That's where we get that $23 billion threshold that we've been talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Just to clarify that then. So, because I really want to hammer this in. So when they say that the minimum they have to pay is 9.4 billion, that's a minimum. They could very easily be in a situation where they have to pay 23 billion.
Yep. So since then, there's been inflation and there's been a rise in the value of Hulu, which is a solvent streaming service, and those are very rare. So again, if anybody from Disney is listening, don't screw with Hulu by turning it into a blade on Disney Plus, your non-solvent streaming service. So,
and unfortunately, all the markers appears to be that that's exactly what they're going to do, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, and again, Jonas, correct me if I'm wrong. The estimations from Comcast side is it's worth 70 billion plus.
Yes, definitely. They make twice as much in revenue per user, average revenue per user. Sorry, don't forget the A in ARPU. They make $12 or something on each user on Hulu versus $6.50 on users for Disney Plus, and they're still spending more than that in producing content for Disney. For Disney Plus, I don't understand the rumors that we're hearing that they're going to murder Hulu and put it as part of Disney Plus. It needs to be the other way around.
See, I love the fact that you continue to use the word murder. Because that keeps happening to things associated with Disney. They literally kill things off regularly.
They're slowly draining the oxygen out.
Yeah. Can I say what that is the sensible business decision? And here's why it's not going to happen. Bob Iger is there, and Disney Plus is his brainchild and his baby, and he even wrote a whole freaking book about it. And then what's even worse, he had that book published and released in paper. And it's an audiobook that he reads itself and everything. So the proof is right there. How Bob Iger personally took responsible for all things Disney Plus. It is so tied to his legacy that he cannot allow it to fail.
It can never be a subsidiary of Hulu. That's the problem. That's the issue at this point.
Right.
If anything, he will try and finagle it to being it's Disney Plus's Hulu, and there'll be Disney Plus really tiny at the top and Hulu really big at the bottom, but he'll still be able to justify it as it's Disney Plus's streaming service. And Disney needs Hulu. Disney needs Hulu for all the content that feels off-brand of Disney to go on.
Yes, absolutely. There's a comment that I really like that's pushing back on this. Duck Nation says, no way is Hulu worth as much as Fox was. Absolutely. You are 100% correct. Fox was definitely not worth $70 billion when they bought it.
No, but here's the thing. Bob Iger, he overspent. And this is the funny thing, because I do not recall which kind of amount they were talking about. But what happened was that Disney, they first launched an amount, and then came Comcast and Universal, and they launched a competing bid. And that's when Bob Iger said, oh, no, you don't. And he massively increased the price. So just as he did with Lucasfilm, he overpaid. And I don't know if it was an accident or if Comcast were playing 4D chess or something all along. But what just happened is that Comcast, they maneuvered their biggest competitor into overpaying for Fox. And because Disney acquired Fox, that meant that they are now in the position where they have to buy out Comcast share in Hulu, meaning they have to give basically a free cash gift of between 9 billion and 20-something billion to their biggest competitor. And none of this would have happened if Comcast would have won the bid for Fox. Then the situation would have been reversed. Then it would have been they that had to buy out Disney.
Here's what's fascinating. There were two things about that situation that not everybody thinks about. One was that Disney was also bidding on Sky at the same time, the European aspect of the Fox Corporation. And there was some question about what would happen if Disney won the Fox bid and the Sky bid at the same time. So that would have opened up a whole mess of regulatory. So I think Comcast ended up getting that portion of Sky. But
they did, yes. So Comcast just completely outmaneuvered them, and behind the scenes there. Culture, you found the initial bid for Fox, didn't you? What was that?
Yeah, the initial bid for Fox, Disney's first offering, was a $52.4 billion offer, a fair valuation at the time. That would have been what Fox would have been worth. The funny thing is Comcast rolled in and said, "Okay, we're going to pay $65 billion."
And
then Disney said 75.
Yeah. So the environment at Comcast from a corporate bylaw standpoint is very different from the environment at Disney, although similar in the fact that Bob Iger controls the board right now completely, or it appears that way on the outside. All these unanimous decisions. Brian Roberts is the CEO of Comcast.
Yeah.
Period. The corporate bylaws say that Brian Roberts is the CEO of Comcast for life and cannot be voted out. So it would have to take he would have to step down. He also has the right to name his successor as well. So
basically he's the seesaw of Comcast.
Yeah. So he did not have to consult the board or the shareholders to issue these bids or to really stick it to Bob Iger. So.
Well, here's the thing, though, because he got outmaneuvered completely. Because by doing that, here's the funny thing. By launching that bid against Disney, one, they were able to get Sky, which Disney wanted, And they were able to get Disney, their biggest competitor, to overpay by 20 billion, not million, 20 billion they overpaid for Fox. And here's the kicker. They also now have to give Comcast what amounts to another 20 billion in a free gift. And all Universal has to give up are their stake in Hulu. And they will never, ever in hell on an eternal time scale be able to make as much as 20 billion on Hulu. So, yeah, ka-ching. I mean, that's kind of like business acumen. That is how you make yourself dictator for life for a company and basically make yourself the modern corporate Caesar. Or
and
Caesar,
not only that,
as the name was pronounced.
And not only that, from Comcast's perspective, Hulu is kind of, while it does have name recognition and it's very popular, it's also kind of a redundant service for them because the same model is applied to Peacock right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically saying, well, we have full control over Peacock brand. Why not we just double down on that, build it up over the long term? Because again, Comcast has been very smart with their streaming service. They are not, like with Warner Brothers, they're not trying to rush to maximum reach right away. They have to create growth that's stable so that reflects well on their investors. And that's why Disney really screwed up. They pushed it so hard. They talked about all their subscribers. They've pretty much reached their peak subscriber reach right now for the content that they have. They're not doing anything to grow it anymore other than relying on their established brands. Peacock has been doing a couple of revival shows. They've been experimenting with some other shows. They're getting ready to launch their Exorcist series, which I think is going to bring in a bunch of new subscribers and people to see their show. But they also have the free ad tier as well, which means that you all you have to sign up for is an email, and you can watch their content. You can watch their archive content stuff with ads. And it's slowly growing at a pretty decent rate. Not as fast as obviously a lot of companies would like it to, but it's enough to the point where it's like, yeah, why do we need, if we have a stake in Hulu and it's shared with a competitor, why should we hold on to that? Why not just let them buy us out and we'll take that money, not just to invest in our new park expansion, but also into our own streaming service that we know in a few years is probably going to crush Disney because of all the debt that we're putting on them through these deals.
I'll also add that their customer acquisition cost for Peacock is almost nothing, because they're pushing it to all of the Comcast Xfinity subscribers and growing by just saying, oh yeah, do this thing. Oh, by the way, here's a free HD set top box so you can watch all of your content. They know what they're doing as far as they're paying very little, where Disney is paying close to the revenue that they would be making in order to acquire customers.
And I wouldn't put it past Comcast in a couple of years, in order for them to gain a little bit extra profit off their streaming service, to say, hey, you're a Comcast customer. Guess what? You get 80% off Peacock when you subscribe at like a tier 1.
Yeah.
And it's like, because again, AT&T was going to be doing that with the HBO Max streaming service before they decided to do the reverse mortgage trust. They still have a huge stake in Warner Brothers Discovery at the moment, but they don't have the controlling interest power. But who knows? In 4 or 5 years, that could be a thing. AT&T get free Max streaming service with every AT&T subscriber package at this X bundle. That money, that percentage of it, will go into Warner Brothers, and it'll also bolster sales for AT&T. Yeah. That is the way you kind of cross market this new format of streaming.
Well, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to add, and pay close attention to who Comcast is chummy with right now, because one of the people they're real chummy with is Roku. So yeah, they're working it from all sides right now. So go ahead. I'm sorry, Jonas.
Two things. So the massive Shanghai Disneyland park cost $5.5 billion to build. So this is enough money to build about 4 of those. Also, this is tangential, but it's relates to the streaming space. YouTube TV right now, they have this massive deal with NFL Sunday Ticket that they are trying very hard to push. I keep getting promotions for it, and the promotions seem to be getting more desperate. I think I got like a 6 months free of HBO Max, or Max or whatever they're calling it. It sounds like that deal is not going well. There's probably some research to be done on the exorbitant cost of that. It's just slightly related, that the massive amount of money that it takes to acquire subscribers in this space it seems to be getting higher, and the sure things are maybe not as sure.
Yeah, that does sound about right, doesn't it? And before we start losing panelists, I want to run through a couple of the super chats and see if we can get into the final topic of today as well. On this topic here, just try to do topic by topic here. Slade Wilson says Disney is absolute garbage, and Jonas is yay, sup, homie.
Hey, Slade. I need to look up the Urban Dictionary. Is the gay with a HE just specifically for lameness and not for is it a way to get
for
around
affection, essentially? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's joy, there's lameness, and then there's more.
Yep. There's more.
We'll go with the more. And then Ryan Bailey says for $5, I have Hulu, but I will cancel it if Disney gets their hands on them. Oh, they're going to. I do not want to give them any money. I wonder how many others are like that. Yeah, I would say, is this a common problem?
Yeah, 60% of Hulu right now is owned by Disney. It's just that last 33%. So they own it right now. They're making $9 out of those the 12 in average revenue per user. So
yeah.
Also, Comcast has no control because of the way that they've structured those Hulu bylaws, which I'm sure that does not make Brian Roberts of Comcast very happy at all.
Yeah. And then on the topic of Star Wars, Meteor Advocate Timon says for, I believe, 10 Brazilian real, lightsabers are the fantasy element of Star Wars. Oh, there's more than that. They're magic. Why? Because two lightsabers could not touch each other. Light has no mass. They would pass each other without losing speed. I believe that is part of the reason why only Force users can use lightsabers, because in the hands of anyone else, they are deadly for themselves and for their surroundings. Because lightsabers, they're not made of light but of plasma, but they have no mass. I believe this is accurate.
Well, that's what Michio Kaku says. Michio Kaku is a hack scientist.
Michio Kaku is one of the greatest hacks in advance. If there ever was a snakes old salesman, it's Michio Kaku.
Yeah. No, the lightsabers aren't plasma. They're basically, it's like Green Lantern's magic ring. They're hard light constructs.
Yeah.
Force fields and force fields and photons would be the other terminology. Yeah. More appropriately. I just want
to say, anyone that has issues with Graham Hancock, you should have 10 times the issues with Michio Kaku. And anyone else who are proponents of string theory and dark matter and dark energy. And in fact, if it has dark in front of it, they're a hack. And they're chasing something that doesn't exist. Unbelievable to me how adult scientists actually believe in dark matter and spend trillions of dollars making particle colliders aimed at detecting something that only exists in the figment of their imagination. But I won't go on about, just a pet peeve of mine. Sabine Hossenfelder for the win.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I know Chato also agrees with that.
Oh, and he'll be back in momentarily. He just had to step away.
Well, I'm sure otherwise he would have been chiming in right now. So, and in the meantime, let us move on to the final topic, at least main topic of today. Just making sure I'm pressing the right button here. So I stop the screen and don't accidentally shut down the screen. I really need to change where these different buttons are here, because this is high risky. So our final topics, because we're all enjoying Ahsoka right now, but the girl bossness at Disney will not end, because this is a rumor. It is not confirmed in any way, shape, or form, but we have a rumor. It doesn't come from Bounding into Comics, but they did a write-up on it, that She-Hulk, attorney at law, might be getting a second season after the strikes and everything have been dealt with. Now, the source of this rumor is the The Scooper, who operates on the platform formerly known as X and maybe more places that I'm not aware, called My Time to Shine Hello. And My Time to Shine Hello, who we have covered about before, has a fairly solid track record. So when this individual then claims that Marvel are contemplating or threatening us with the She-Hulk Season 2, that is something we should take seriously. Now, before Script Doctor chimes in here, because I know you have a lot to say about this as someone that could fix this. Cultured, are you excited about the prospect of more She-Hulk?
Yes, because it's gonna basically buy me a car, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Man, you've got better CPMs on your channel if that's going to buy you a car.
Hey, look, there are gonna be 4 videos a day on She-Hulk on my channel when this comes back. You're gonna get scene by scene breakdowns. You're gonna get the nonsense girl boss stuff. It's gonna be fantastic. I'm gonna quadruple down on She-Hulk. It's gonna be a good time.
How about you, Jonas? Are you looking forward to all of the articles that you will be writing for that Park Place and all of the clips you'll be doing for both Valiant and WDW Pro?
You know what? I'll say I'm semi-optimistic about this show if they can course correct a little bit here. Tatiana Maslany is actually charming when they don't write her awful. I think if they can change the writers on this show, there's a chance they could pivot. Also, a fourth wall breaking character. That's they've got some of the elements that they need there. I suspect that some of this might have to do with the rights to the Hulk. There's a little bit of a debate there as to whether or not Universal has started playing ball with the rights, the TV rights to the Hulk. But if they want to do anything with those characters, and I think that they do, probably Savage Hulk, bringing him back, they're probably going to do it through this show. They love their world building, and this is a place where they probably have a lot of opportunities to do that. I did not like the first season, and eventually I'm going to get around to breaking it down on my channel. I don't know how much time that is going to take. I will say Picard season 1 just about broke me. I had to take a week off from production trying to get through that. She-Hulk is not depressing in the same way as that, though. So yeah, there's lots of content to be made off of She-Hulk.
Yeah, that is honestly the best thing I can say for it too, but it's content that I don't want to make. I mean, we did a couple of videos on She-Hulk, and honestly, I hated making every single one of them. They were made only because of popular demand from the audience, but it was such a god-awful watch, and some of the least fun I ever had making videos, I had making the She-Hulk videos, because I couldn't find like anything entertaining or even fun to latch onto at all. I mean, like, for instance, when I first did the research for our Barbie video back in 2016, I was like, the hell am I doing with all this Barbie stuff? But it's actually kind of cool to go through the leaked Sony emails and piece together the entire history and chain of events and everything. That was kind of like fun stuff, but no, it was just dreadful. But anyway, Script Doctor, do you think this is a threat we should be taking seriously? And if we should they turn this around?
I'm hoping they turn this around. There's rumors suggesting that Kevin Feige wants to turn things around at Marvel. If he does, I will and again, this is happening post-strike. Guess where I'm going to be? I'm going to be in California. I'm going to be in LA. And yes, I will be knocking on doors saying, hey, listen, She-Hulk, you have a fourth wall breaking character. You can have a lot of fun with this character. For instance, you could have a commentary of how the first season performed terribly and they're going in a different direction. And you can even go doubly hard. I'd suggest this. It would get me kicked out of the building, but I'd suggest, hey, let's have Jennifer Walters represent Disney in all the lawsuits that they're currently undergoing right now at the time of it's being filmed.
It'd be beautiful.
And I would have fun with that and basically, do what the character is just have fun with her. But I would be very surprised if they brought back Jessica Gao to show run this. There's no way. I mean, again, unless they're fully drinking into the Kool-Aid at Marvel as they are over at the big parent company Disney, I don't see them wanting to continue that direction. I think Tatiana Maslany is a very competent actress. When she's doing normal promotions for other things that were not Disney affiliated, she was really charming. She brought in a lot of audience and fans to her. You can take a look at all of her original talk show appearances prior to the pandemic and whatnot, and you would think that this is a very affable, likable actor that's not an idiot. But the moment she changed publicly is the moment she started working under Disney. That says something. I mean, it's just the way it is. So what I would basically say is that if Disney ends up going in the same direction that led them to this situation in the first place, yeah, I think there's a lot of people on YouTube that are going to be very happy about that because their commentary will be very lucrative for them. Culture will buy a car, and I'll be the first one to hire him as an Uber to be driven around in it because I think that'd be a lot of fun. That being said, a lot of people so far, at least on the writer side of things, some of the writers that have had contracts with Disney and Marvel have been force majeured out. They're not there anymore, and it doesn't look like they'll be coming back. We have to wait and see how much that's going to spread as time goes on.
I had not heard about specific shows being force majeured, so I'd love to follow up with you after that.
I haven't heard any shows. I've only heard interim deals, and some of the writers that have been affiliated with some of these existing shows that had deals, they don't have them anymore. As for
Could you elaborate on what you are at liberty to discuss on that?
Well, I know that some of the staff writers on some of the shows like WandaVision, Loki, Captain America, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and so forth. Some of those staff writers that were in line to have that negotiated and have deals to come back on other shows or be staff writers or showrunners on other shows, they're gone. I don't know all the names of them, but that is the stuff that we've been hearing from the stories of the picket line, so to speak, is that people who were really excited to be working for Disney or getting a second contract with Disney don't have that anymore. That's been force majeured. There's also the same thing happening at Warner Brothers, Amazon Studios, Paramount, and what have you. People that you and I would recognize as, preaching to the choir of the studios of the woke, are not very confident that they're going to have a future once the strike is resolved because their deals are done. And some of the more experienced writers, some of the ones that had made deals that haven't been force majeured out yet are feeling pretty happy that, hey, it looks like we might actually have a shot of having a hit show if we can, stick to our guns, get a deal. It's not going to be a fair deal, but it's going to be a deal. Get a deal that'll end the strike. So that's all I can actually reveal right now.
So if I take this to the most basic level, are you saying that there is actually a chance that She-Hulk season 2 is going to be good?
There's always a chance. I wouldn't hold my breath, of course, because again, it all comes down to who is going to be hiring the new writing team that will be taking over She-Hulk, right? If it's still Kevin Feige and if he's still of the manner like, hey, what we did with the first season of She-Hulk, I like that. Let's keep it going. That's probably what you're going to get. Unless someone can come up with a better pitch that hits the stuff that Kevin Feige would be happy with, but at the same time might have a more open audience appeal.
Yeah. On that note, Callum Lyle wonders for $5 Australian, is MGTOW the villain in She-Hulk season 2? Is she going to complain about equal pay? Talk about period and a prostitute on Tinder. I hate Gao and that actress. So yeah, this is the audience expectation. Audience expectation right there. And also the Seaman wonders, what are the chances Doomcock is the villain of She-Hulk season 2?
Wasn't he the villain of season 1? Why would they repeat that?
Kind of, yeah.
And they made him a tech bro, which is amazing that they want to put that down to such a basic thing that they are familiar with, but is obviously not the audience.
Yeah, it's the tech bro, the internet trolls. I mean, okay, cool. That's your meta aspect. It's boring and it was stupid and they didn't do anything with it. But here's the other part too. One of the consistent things that they kept kind of true to Jennifer Walters is that she likes men and she's trying to find a man to hook up with, and she went on dating and she got embarrassed and she got humiliated by it. That's kind of the closest thing they got accurate to She-Hulk, is that she doesn't hate men, she actually loves men, and that was kind of there. I mean, she hooked up with Daredevil and possibly one of the better written episodes that was still pretty bad. it is what it is. But yeah, it all comes down to Kevin Feige, what he wants to do with the character for season 2, and if he wants to maintain fun and maintain that fourth wall breaking aspect of She-Hulk, I've got some ideas, and I know Paul Chato has a ton of ideas that we could go down there and we could hammer out a very, very funny She-Hulk show that people would like.
So let's hope that they will take to their reasons and hire you and Paul Chato to do it. That would be something. What isn't something, but that still is happening, is that we are regrettably losing Jonas. So I just want to say thank you for joining us so far. It's been a pleasure to have you as always, my friend.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to be here. And to get to bring up the weird corporate aspects of Comcast versus Disney and in corporate bylaws, who would have thought that I'd be able to do that in front of an audience of, I don't know how many, because I'm not on that end of this StreamYard window. But thanks, everybody, for allowing me the chance here. Oh.
Yeah. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Check out Jonas J. Campbell. Link will be in the description. And with that, we'll be seeing you around.
All right. Thank you. See you guys around. Bye.
Fantastic.
Bye, Jonas.
Cultured, do you have time for a couple more super chats?
Yeah, we can get to. Yep.
Fantastic. Because John Stalcup says for $2, Netflix and Amazon bans stream Sound of Freedom. I don't know if they banned it so much as that none of them picked it up, or was there some banning that I'm not aware?
Oh, don't worry, it will find a streaming outlet,
and it will do well.
Yeah.
Yeah. With the kind of numbers that it got in its domestic release, international distributors will be looking forward for it. It already has distribution in the UK and stuff, but you may not find it on the big places like Netflix and Amazon. I don't know. I mean, if one were of a conspiratorial mindset, one could be tempted to think that it struck a little bit too close to home or something. But we don't have that here. So we're just going to say it's a business decision. And both Netflix and Amazon regularly passes on projects for reasons they are not obliged to disclose to the public. Doesn't that sound
there's also
right?
a very logical aspect that's still within line with that, which is they know their audience base. And if their audience base doesn't seem to be interested in that type of content, they're not going to put it on their platform.
Yeah. And then moving on from there, Net Alert says for $5, are any of you ready for the culture war to finally be over? Because I am. I really am getting tired of all of this. Now, speaking of Culture Casino, are you ready for the culture war to be over?
I would love to do that, because I really didn't mind the time where I could sit around with my pals and talk about the great films that we've just seen, the great television programs that we've just seen, the wonderful growth and unity in our country, et cetera, and around the world, to be fair. Watching the world go to hell over the course of the last decade hasn't been terribly exciting for me, and if anything, it's really put people at each other's throats for no reason whatsoever. So yes, I'm ready for it to be over, but while it's not, give me things like She-Hulk, because I'm telling you, and don't root against me, script. I want this to be just as bad, if not worse, than the first season, because I'm not kidding. I want that Model X. I want it.
Well, I mean, if I don't get the job, you'll probably get it. Probably get that Model X. And if I do, I'm sorry.
No, look, and that's the whole point of answering the question the way I did. And I think you'll agree, you know, I would love for this to be over because I would love for, you know, we get a return to some good things and that encourages them to make more good things and so on and so forth. But even if they turn the car right around, and all of us have been saying this now for I don't know how many years. I mean, Midnight's has probably been saying it one of the longest periods of time. But even if they stop right now, well, it would be really easy to do because there's a strike or 2 strikes going on right now. But even if they were to stop making the terrible garbage right now, it would still take them a while to clear the pipeline of the terrible garbage they have to finish and to get the new quality things in and out to us. So you're looking at 3 to 5 years before you see most of the things that would actually indicate we've changed or gone.
Well,
right
Disney's the one that's pumping out the majority of it.
True.
I post this question on a number of other channels. When you take a look at Universal, Sony, Warner Brothers, Paramount, how much of their content that they release on a frequency is matching on the frequency of woke that Disney is releasing? It's actually almost negligible in comparison. And that's a good thing. That's basically where, as soon as what I think with regards to happening at Disney right now is the universe course correcting, because they very well know that Disney should never be in the amount of power it has in regards to the industry, and nobody should be following their lead. And the other studios have already realized this. They've made their attempts. We can all pick to maybe 1 or 2 movies from each studio that has a very strong woke ideology or very anti-audience ideology, and that's about it. But when you head over to Disney and with Marvel, you've got what, 4 to 5 Marvel films that are just god awful that preach certain ideologies. You have a number of it spread throughout their television shows across Marvel and Star Wars. That's pretty significant on those brands and all that type of stuff here. It's just the way it is. So once Disney stops doing it, the rest of the industry, the rest of the audiences will start realizing that, hey, yeah, it's diminished significantly.
Yeah, and what I would say is don't get tired until it's over, because the moment you want to give up, that's when you lose.
Yep.
So this is something that was thrust upon all of us. No one asked for this.
No.
It came to us. It was brought to us. Everything that has happened in the past decade, and it started way before that, none of us did anything to bring it on. It was brought to us. It was done to us.
No, just to add to that, Andre, and it wasn't done. It was done willfully. It was done on purpose. Yeah. You probably started to notice that politics became primarily featured in every version of entertainment and news thing that you ever heard about, starting sometime around 2014, 2015. It was done willfully because they have to keep you emotional. Because when people are politically engaged, they oftentimes are only responding, and I've said this in multiple videos now, with the emotional side of the emotional center of their brain. They're no longer engaging thoughtful processes. Instead, they are just reacting with raw emotion, and it's not mitigated by their intellect, which is a real problem. Anyway, I'm sorry, Andre, go ahead.
No, basically, since it was brought to us, it was done to us. We are all ready for it to be over, but the moment it is over, unless we're willing to fight it, it'll be over, and we'll have lost. That's where we are. So don't get tired. Just be ready to bear this one out, and be ready to just resist any way you can. That's all there is to say about that. And then moving on with the super chats, then we have Accident Seller, who says, for 100 Norwegian krona, I recently rewatched Reign of Fire from 2002. First time I watched it since I rented it on DVD in 2003. Love the gritty atmosphere set in Britain. It works as a spiritual sequel to 1981's Dragon Slayer. I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it?
Suppose it could, yeah. That's neat.
Yeah, very cool.
Good eye.
Yeah, very good. Good catch right there. And And the Master of Trek says, for 14 South African runs, Prime Video has officially dumped lower decks. Do we have an official confirmation of that? Because
I don't know, but that sounds great. No more upper deckers at Prime. So there you go.
Yeah, it will not be missed. Maybe by 10 people, the same people who have 50 profiles on Twitter, but no one else is going to miss that thing. So yeah. And then ActionCom wonders, script, given what has happened, how will Hollywood feel out future audiences? What lessons will be learned? Will they go all in like they did before?
Depends on what you mean by what has happened. All I can say right now is just look up through Wikipedia, look up the studios, the big studios, Warner Brothers, Paramount, Universal, Sony, and take a look at the movies that they have put out, and then generally figure out, well, are these movies politically driven in an agenda, or are they just either good movies, attempts at stories, or just bad movies that didn't have good execution? And, make a checklist, see what it is. And you will get an idea of what the direction of the rest of the industry has been trying to do as well. I don't understand the whole what has happened part. If you're talking about the strikes, Hollywood executives are just thinking, how do we get them back to work without losing the money?
I would imagine that he's meaning, when he's talking about feel out future audiences, I think it's a matter of they've made everything for a non-existent audience of activists.
Yeah. Well, that comes down to who they hire at the front lines. As I said, a lot of Hollywoods were manipulated by skewed data from story analysts and readers that passed up screenplays with terrible ideology, as opposed to ones that fit the brand of the studios, and that manipulated them. And it looks like some of them have said, "Hey, no, that's not what we're going to be doing anymore." One way Hollywood could really course correct is if they start investing in original spec scripts as opposed to just pushing their intellectual property and adaptations and remakes of that. That's the one thing. Paul Chato has brought it up. I very much support it, which is that where are the new intellectual properties? Where's the new IP? Where's the next Harry Potter? Where's the next Star Trek, Star Wars? Why aren't studios investing in stuff to bring audiences in and compete with the old stuff that hasn't changed in 40 years, or at least hasn't done what it should have in that 40-year span? Like, we can't just keep on adding to Star Wars. We need something that makes Star Wars say, yeah, we have to compete against this new thing because it's taking our audience. What can we do? We're Star Wars. How can we be better than them trying to, steal our audience? They don't have that anymore. Star Wars doesn't have competition from their perspective. And that needs to change. And that can only change when Hollywood starts buying spec scripts. It can only change when there are more outlets for independent film to be distributed to get to a broader reach of audience, so that those people that made them can grow and make more content. That's the best direction that can happen for entertainment.
Yeah. And then Twilight Hope has been a member for 13 months and sent a member chat saying, Andre, I really like the creative you speak about stuff not welcomed off the platform. It is a pure joy listening to you. Thank you to the rest of the panel as well. Oh, well, thanks for the kind words. Glad you enjoyed and love being here with this panel.
Yeah, you are quite the master of saying things in a way that won't get you in trouble. It's true.
Yeah, well, one does have to try to work within the YouTube guidelines.
Yeah.
And of course, when it gets re-uploaded to Rumble, it's kind of weird, but hey ho, it is what it is. And then Hypergiver 2 has been a member for 11 months, says, Andre, we need your review of Conan issue 2. Hopefully, we can also see more Conan content for Cimmerian September and maybe a member stream. Yeah, member stream will be coming soon. It's just that this week it's Tom that's been busy. As soon as his schedule clears, we're going to have that member stream. And yeah, maybe we'll do a Conan specific stream. As for my review of Conan issue 2, which I believe is in stores today, I think it was fantastic. I really enjoyed the first issue. And now in the second issue, I noticed much more detail, both in the lettering, in the fonts that's used, the artwork, the storytelling. I mean, there's a lot of depth and subtext there. Jim Zub is really like fighting on all cylinders here, because the story reads just like a story from the Savage Sword of Conan in the 1970s, and it looks like it too. I mean, that is quite a feat to be able to pull off. And especially when you look at all the stuff that's in it, because basically, for those that haven't read, like the storyline so far is, you know how you were shafted of winter is coming in Game of Thrones, how it came and then it really was nothing. Well, whether by accident or design, this storyline right now is kind of like that, and it's actually doing it justice. That's all I'm going to say without spoiling anything. It is everything the conclusion to Game of Thrones, that aspect of it, should have been. And issue 2 is a little bit more slow, because now is when we get more character development between Conan and his lady for the arc, and they do get it on because this is Conan, and this comic is independent, so you don't have to shy away from anything. And it's everything a Conan comic should be. So it comes with my recommendations. You want to change culture, as we've said before in this stream, you have to put your money where your opinions and your values are. You want to make a change, you have to support what is good. And Conan right now isn't being released through any of the major publishers. It's being released through Titan, because that's where they can tell the stories exactly the way they need to be told. That, I think, is worthy of support. So go to your closest retailer, find issue 2 of Conan, and I do believe that the reprint of issue 1 is also available today, because it did sell far more than they had anticipated. Cultured, I don't know, you probably haven't been able to read any of this yet, but Script, this is really up your wheelhouse. So have you had a chance to check out Sub's recent run on Conan?
I definitely want to check it out. Unfortunately, I just with the strike and everything, I just don't have the cash to go down and pick it up at the moment. But don't worry. Once things kind of free up, I will be making a run to the comic book store. Not only will I be buying every comic book back issue of Zub's Conan comic, but I also have another long list of other issues I want to get as well and read, things that were written maybe 20, 30 years ago on that. Luckily for me, I do have a friend that does work at one of the comic book shops I go to, and they have a box reserved for me of these issues. So the instant I've got the disposable income, that box is going to be collected post haste.
Yeah. And then we have another question from the Master of Trek, who wonders, are the studios starting to figure out that reboots fail?
No.
Yeah, no. I mean,
reboots aren't guaranteed a fail or a success.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, bad reboots fail, bad remakes fail, good things don't. It's a matter. This is, I mean, the biggest argument here isn't necessarily that it's inherently bad to remake something. It's inherently bad to remake something badly. That's the problem. If you do a terrible job retelling the same story, that's where that's the failure. I mean, that's the lesson they're not learning, right? Script. I mean,
exactly. Like the default, the best type of reboot you can do is take a terrible movie that has a cool idea and figure out a way to make that cool idea worthy of a cool movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's listen, you can go look at, say, just the Canon and Golden Globus films. Some of their action films are horrible, but the concepts are really cool. You get the rights to that and you remake that for today's audience and you do it well, you will have basically revived a franchise. And this goes to the axiom of Hollywood, which is that no franchise is truly dead. It only goes dormant.
Well, I suggest you could remake things like Running Man, Logan's Run, those types of things.
Disney's Black Hole.
Yes, exactly.
I would say, yeah. Well, Disney's Black Hole, they've been trying to remake for like 25 years. Logan's Run would be a great remake. Running Man, not so much. Running Man works as it is right now.
Well, it does, but I'm just saying it's like because of the times that we're in and trying to address it and call it out for what it is, incredibly bad and a terrifying future if we move further down the authoritarian pathway. But I mean, that would be my argument to remake it. But you're right. It's a great film. So.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking like you're the warrior of the future, like this terrible movie that takes place in a post-apocalyptic world of dinosaurs, revivals, and stuff. It's like you can have a lot of fun with that. I would say again, them trying to remake Death Wish when they remade Total Recall is like that's stupid. You don't remake hit films. Everybody with a brain knows that you're competing with something that's better than what you can do. Remake terrible stuff because the bar is already low. The only place you can go is up. And if you do it really well, you'll make people forget about that horrible original one. I mean, look at John Carpenter's The Thing. It's a remake of The Thing. and the original Thing is hokey but fun. And John Carpenter managed to find, okay, the original short story it's based off of. He played with it to work with his style, and he knocked it out of the park. And it came about amongst a very competitive year. But it is a cult classic.
Yeah, and Krull. You could remake Krull and do a really good job with that too.
There's a ton of things you can remake that way, absolutely. But I agree with I agree completely with Script here. You don't want to remake movies that already were smash hits. You want to remake those that were high concept, low execution.
Yep. That's
where you can really make magic happen. Another example of that, Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, Ronald D. Moore knocked it out of the park with those first few seasons of his reinterpretation.
Yeah.
And again, that's a good angle to go at. Denzel Washington did The Equalizer, which is a remake of the Equalizer TV show from the 80s.
Exactly.
And it worked very, very well for what it was. In fact, it actually opened up opportunities for people to revisit that show, which is even better.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah. Not the new show, but anyway.
No, not the new show. I'm talking about
not the new one, but the original one from the 80s. That's exactly right.
And speaking of that, I'm looking very much forward to seeing Equalizer 3.
So am I. That's going to be cool. Moving on here a little bit. Hyperguyver had something else to say about Conan. I also got a mention in the editorial section of Conan issue 2. Oh, very cool. I just got to the story. I haven't read all the other bonus features because that's what I also like about this run of Conan Comics. It has bonus features, which is pretty darn cool. And then Michael Beacon had a message for Paul Chato saying, thanks to Paul Chato for recommending Gran Turismo, good movie. I waited with this because I was hoping that he would return. But I guess that he is busy, but I will make sure that he gets the message, Michael, and thanks for the support. And Gran Turismo was indeed a good movie. No argue there. And then Accident Salad says for 15 Norwegian krona, looking forward to Robyn Hood, the black female Robyn Hood with a hip-hop group called The Hood. Me neither. It's going to be more cringe than She-Hulk.
Oh, God.
Just for fun, I looked at the official Twitter account for that just to see like the excitement and the engagement and stuff like that. That does not bode well for this Canadian reboot. So to the point of what Mr. Star Trek said before, and you being Canadian, what do you have to say to your defense script? Because this thing is Canadian.
There's a reason I don't like to work in Canada. I mean,
right answer there.
I mean, again, they're part of ground zero for some of this woke stuff. I started picking it up in 2012. It's foolish of them. It's terrible. I actually just learned today something that happened a few days ago, which is that one of the biggest sponsors of the Toronto International Film Festival has pulled out. That's Bell Canada, the service provider. They're no longer sponsoring the festival after this year, and that basically tells me that TIFF itself is not the moneymaker it used to be, which means that TIFF is not selecting films that people want to see or showcase.
So virtuous.
Yeah, it's interesting. And again, global is one of the co-producers of this show. The other part too, and this is something you and I have discussed, is that there are so many people that don't understand what Robyn Hood is. Yes, there's the common phrase, he steals from the rich and gives to the poor. Well, that's fake, because he's stealing from the government that is stealing from their people. And he's returning the money that is stolen from the people back to them. That's the story. That King John is taxing the people of England to death, to line his pockets, while the real king is off fighting the Crusades. And Robyn Hood is like, that is unjust. That is not the role of the king. I shall take that money back and return it to the people, because it is rightfully theirs. It's about government corruption. It's a legendary story. It's a great one. And guess what? There's no way in heck the people working on this Robyn Hood show for Global understand that.
Yeah. And speaking of understanding, ActionCom says for $5, do you think a Superman 4 remake where Superman takes over and tries to force a peace on the Earth would work better with effort?
Well, that's a funny one, because he doesn't. I mean, in Superman 4, he doesn't take over. That'd be a very dark version of Superman.
Yeah, basically, this would be the Injustice storyline from the games.
Yeah, because the premise in 4 is that he makes a petition to the United Nations that he will rid them all, and the countries cooperate because they didn't want to challenge Superman. And then from there, it's like he doesn't do anything further. That's it. Like, it's very weird. That's how it's left for, and it's Lex Luthor who decides to rearm the world again, so to basically negate Superman's efforts, and then he comes to realization at the end that it's not his place to do that, and that's I think that's pretty fair, and that's a good arc to have. The problem is that it's a very poorly executed film.
Yeah. But like everything, with the right execution, I do believe that that one is actually something that should be good. And with that, we are actually fully caught up, and we have gone through all of the planned topics for today. So with that, I would like to thank every single one who joined us here today, both out there in the chat. Thank you all for watching and being here. And of course, the panelists. Thanks to Jonas, thanks to Mr. Chato, and of course, thanks to the Bitter Enders, Cultured Casino, and Script Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been fun hanging out today with all you guys.
Yeah. Cultured, what are you working on that people should be checking out?
Oh boy, I'm re-recording a video I made yesterday because I had a very emotional reaction to something that I had heard about Dune 2. I've got to figure out a way to be less emotionally engaged when I re-record it, because
you got me excited now. Dune 2. Something bad done.
It wasn't great news. But I'm going to re-record that. I've got a couple of other video ideas that are in the hopper, including a couple of really bad things going on at Disney when it comes to the trends for their Disney Plus subscriptions and things. I think that we are about to see a precipitous fall, and I'll talk about why in that video. And then I'm actually working on a crossover video for the current year with Ian K channel that Comics Division runs. And that one is on, Business Matters, talking about some Wall Street nonsense that is really muddying up the idea that the central banks can actually control inflationary pressures and stuff. So a little bit more and completely different kind of content. So I'm looking forward to that one as well. So,
yeah. And how about you, Script? What are you working on that people should be checking out?
Just working on some more reviews of screenplays and musings on screenwriting and whatnot over on my Patreon. I am still waiting. Hopefully I'll get a call later today about what I can reveal publicly on the WGA strike for tomorrow. So I'll probably do that tomorrow morning on my channel if I get the okay. And if I don't, I apologize. Maybe I'll just do a general live stream, shooting the breeze, and then taking your questions. Because I haven't done much on the YouTube side of things of content recently, just because even with this strike, I'm trying to keep as busy as possible so that I can weather it for however long it goes. But if you are interested in my Patreon, I do have a free trial on the base tier for 7 days. Go check it out. If it's to your liking, I greatly appreciate your support. And if not, no harm, no foul. I am happy just for you to swing on by and check out what I have.
Yeah. And over here on Midnight's Edge, check back in a little more than 1 hour, because then we have a video dropping on the continued success of Ahsoka, and more specifically on Disney fudging the viewership numbers. You don't want to miss out on that, so be sure to be back here in a little bit more than 1 hour. And with that, as Bucky Cat is saying, it is time. Waiting for it, looking for it, looking for it. Where are those furry little buggers? Like you, Tom knows exactly where this little thing is. There's the puppy. Don't care about the puppy. Don't care about Cardsman's nipples. The hell is that? Jesus, we have so many memes in here.
You need folders in this sorting of the buttons, right?
Is that possible?
Yeah,
no, not yet. So we'll have to tell StreamYards, hey, we want folder organization for buttons.
Yes.
Yeah. Here we go. Here we have it. With that, after I've boomed it sufficiently, it is time for some koalas in the rain.
Koalas in the rain. Koalas in the rain. No fucks given. Koala, koala. Koalas in the rain. Koalas in the rain. No fucks given.